Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter's Reality TV Recaps and Opinions, better known as And That's My Opinion with Peter Mon. And tonight we're going to talk about 1,000 Pound Sisters, or better known as the Pickle Lovers. The Pickle Lovers right here. They love the pickle and the pickle juice, don't you, Amy? Amy loves the pickles. We found that out this season. She loves all kinds of pickles. Doesn't matter the size. It doesn't matter how they are, okay? She's talking dill pickles and little jerkins too. So gherkins or whatever they're called. Amy loves the pickles. So I was actually getting ready to do a review of some pickles over on my review channel. I got these pickles. I can't show you what they are, but I got these pickles right here. And I've already reviewed these Van Holten's big. They have one that's called Hot Mama. Amy, I think you need to buy the Hot Mama pickle since you like pickles so much. But you can get these at your nearest gas station. I did. And I reviewed them over on my review channel a while ago. So I got some other pickles I'm going to review, and I got them right here. And I was getting ready to do that review first, and I thought, no, I think I better talk about the Slaton sisters. I better talk about Queen Tammy and everybody for a little bit. So anyway, you guys, this season is so good of 1,000 Pound Sisters, I just want to say. I am so obsessed with it. Okay, I watched it on Tuesday night, and in all honesty, last night I binge watched Vanderpump Rules. I sat in that chair right over there and I watched 12 episodes back to back. 12 episodes. I have the finale and the secrets to watch tonight, and then I'm moving on to season 4. I have never in my life, okay, I just talked about this because on my Peter Does Stuff channel today, I talked about the 100 TV shows that I've watched this year. Well, it ends up being like 107 or 105 or something like that, I don't know. But anyway, I talked about all the shows that I watched this year on any channel. Reality shows, all kinds of shows, series, all that. So anyway, I did that video over on my Peter Does Stuff channel. So I was saying this over there that, like, people wanted me for this channel to watch Vanderpump Rules. People in Q&As, because they know that my husband watches it, they've asked me what I thought about Scandal. They have asked me what I thought about this. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't watch the show. I've never really been that interested to watch that show. So I start watching the show, and I've been sleeping on Vanderpump Rules, okay? The show is so good. It is so good. I mean, it is like... And it's not like the Housewives. Like, the Housewives, they, like, you know, they save the very best stuff to the very last scene. Vanderpump Rules, like, through the whole episode is good. Like, there's high drama through the whole episode. So I stayed up too late last night. I stayed up till, like, 7:30 in the morning watching that. I looked, my husband, I was sitting in that chair and the upstairs light went on. And I was like, oh my God, what time is it? And I looked at the clock. The last time I looked, it was like 5. And I was like, oh my God, he's leaving for work. I'm, like, still sitting here binge watching the show. So anyway, I watched 1,000 Pound Sisters, but between then and now, I've watched so many other shows, so I don't really remember a whole lot about it. All I know is that it's interesting because Amy and I have, like, talked a little bit, and she was really worried about this episode because she has all these meltdowns. I feel like the meltdowns that Amy is having are very, they're very normal for somebody that's going through what she's going through, you know? I feel like there's a lot that we haven't seen behind the scenes. I mean, they've shown a lot about Michael and things like that, and it was interesting because she did message me because she is watching these reviews. So, hey, Amy, how you doing? Hey, y'all. Hey, Queen Tammy. Hey, everybody. And she messaged me and she said something because I had said for years that Michael pushed Tammy around and never got a thank you or something like that. So all of a sudden, he doesn't want to be a dad. Maybe it's he doesn't know how to be a dad or whatever. And Amy messaged me something and was like, Michael, because she clarifies stuff for me. And so thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. So she was like, Michael never did that because he wanted to. Like, you know, he was never, like, willing to do those things. Like, we basically had to beg him to do those things. So I thought that that was a kind of an interesting take because that's not something that you see on the show. I think before this season, you know, and this is where the edit is very important on reality shows. Before the season, they made it appear that Michael is this very willing, you know, helper in the whole family situation, but maybe that's not it. I also think it's interesting when you watch, like, because, you know, I binge watch the seasons, right? You can tell over time that Michael starts distancing himself, not just from Amy and Tammy, but from, like, the entire family. Like, at the barbecue, I keep on referencing the scene because it was so poignant to me. I'm talking about the Slaton sisters. But it was like the scene where Chris had the barbecue and they rode the horses and stuff. Like, the kids are screaming and yelling and running all over the place. Amy's crying. Amanda's trying to help. Everybody's trying to help. Michael's in the corner. He's not even talking to anybody. He's sitting in this, you know, plastic chair, turned to the side, not looking at anybody, not talking to anybody. And, you know, he is just like eating his food. I also have to say that in retrospect, some of his responses to Amy when she has voiced concern were interesting to me. Like, when she was worried about going to the hospital, he was just like, he wasn't very comforting. I mean, in retrospect, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me. Like, he wasn't like, I mean, I've been in those situations with my husband, you know, like, my husband had kidney stones a couple years ago. He was very worried, you know, and we were going to the hospital, and we both gone through, I mean, you know, a lot of really, kidney stones were like the least of it for us. But, you know, have family members and whatever, where you're like really worried about that person, and it's, you know, like all this kind of stuff. And he's just always like, it's gonna be okay, Amy. You know, it's just like that's all you got for her. And she's like, I don't know how we're going to deal with these kids and all this kind of stuff. It'll be okay, Amy. That's like his go-to is always, it'll be okay, Amy, right? Well, that would get kind of tiresome, you know, after a while anyway. So this episode, Amy's now, she's left Michael's house. She's moved in, which I have to believe that she moves back into at some point because it's her house. I know that. So Michael, at the very last minute, interestingly enough, so they show the cops coming. Tammy calls the cops. I lived for that Tammy called the cops. So Tammy calls the cops. And the cops show up, and they're like, well, we'll try to figure this out or whatever. At the last moment, Michael is sitting on the floor, and he's like, I'll let you, he says something like, you can go as long as you promise that you'll come back, or something like that, to the grocery store. To the grocery store. Girl, that's what we do on a Friday night in Indiana. I said that in my last video. We go to the grocery store, okay? We get us a good fountain pop, we drive around, we listen to some country music, and we go to the grocery store. It ain't that deep, okay? That's what you do for fun in the Midwest, period, end of the story, you know? If it's a good night, you might go to the mall, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, so he's sitting on the floor, Amy's bawling her eyes out, and apparently at the last minute, she like throws, and she says this in the show, he like hands her debit card, because that's all she wanted was her debit card, because it's all her money, right? And she says that. She's like, at the very last minute when before the cops walked in the door, she like handed me the card. Well, he knew that he was going to get arrested, or he was going to get kicked out of the house or whatever for not giving her money, because she's the only one working. Tammy says that in the show, that Michael hasn't been working for months, and she's the only one working, and things like that. So she moves in with Tammy. She's now living with Tammy and her two sons. And Tammy is overwhelmed because she wants Caleb to move home. She's learning to take care of herself. I have to just tell you right now, you know, like, Tammy, it's not just about the weight loss. Like, she is such an empowered person. She's so calm in these situations and stuff. You know, it's like, she used to have, like, temper tantrums and stuff in the earlier seasons. She's, like, so calm through this stuff anymore. And she's like, I'm just trying to maintain my life. I'm just trying, you know, I don't think that, well, I can only speak for myself. I had any idea what that weight did to her mental health back in the day, because she seems so calm now. I mean, she seems like the voice of reason in all these family arguments and stuff, you know? And she's just trying to get her life back together and take care of herself and get her husband home, right? Which is so sad watching that, because we know Caleb passes away, and their love is so genuine and sincere. And so she's got Amy in her house, and she seems to like it, but it's also overwhelming for her to have all this. I think that's going to come out probably in the next episode, how overwhelming it is for her. And then there was a scene where she's talking to Caleb on the phone, and Caleb was like emotionally eating, and she's like stressed out because he maybe can get the surgery if he can lose 36 pounds. And, you know, the thing is, it's got to be hard for it, is that, like, Tammy's done all this, right? Like, Tammy's done the work. Even though it, like, took years to do it, she did the work. And now all she wants is her husband to come home. All he wants is to come home. And he is, in response, emotionally eating, and I think that's frustrating probably for her, because she's like, this is all I want, can you just like do this one thing, right? And so it was difficult to watch, because I felt for her, I felt for him. I mean, I just can't even imagine, you know, he's hundreds of miles away, like he says, you know, this rehab center, away from his wife, and his go-to is, I mean, this is literally, as a person in recovery, this is literally the epitome of addiction. When they talk about food addiction on the show, it's so important. So that part was there, you know, and then Amanda and Chris, and Amanda, Chris, Misty, and Tammy go work out in the trash bags. I lived for that scene. That scene made me so happy when they were like working out. You know, because Amanda, it's so interesting that this whole cigarette smoking thing came out with, I know if I say this in a video, well, I'm not going to say it, because if I say it in a video, then Amy will be texting me the truth about it, because I was going to say, like, it's almost interesting the timing of when all that was put out, even no matter how much shit she got for it, and apparently she is going to come out and address the smoking cigarette situation in a live stream, and I will address it after she comes out. I want to hear what her response is, and so, well, I mean, I already know what she's going to say, but I'll address it after she puts it out. So anyway, so she, they're now talking a lot about smoking on the show in a way that they really hadn't before. With Tammy, they talked a little bit about it, but now Misty and Amanda have to be nicotine-free to get the surgery, but then they smoke like one cigarette at Amy's house, and they have to go sweat out one cigarette for nicotine or it'll test positive or on a drug screen. I don't know if they don't know how drug screens work, but I'm just going to tell you right now, okay? Anybody in country, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, whatever, listen, I used to work in treatment centers. Everybody knows how them drug screens work, okay? One cigarette's not going to set off a nicotine test. Not after 24 to 48 hours, and it's like a week later, right? So what they're saying is they're smoking a lot more, which, hey, more power to you, right? But they're starting to show it more and more on the show, which I think is an interesting choice because TLC's been called out a lot for editing certain things like the smoking out on the show. So now they're showing it, right? But it also plays into the story, and they're trying to sweat out the nicotine and whatever. I was like, to be honest with you, as somebody that's been sober for 29 years, that so reminded me of back in the day when I had to take drug screens, you know, and I was like... They're talking about sweating the oldies. You know, I would like be on a treadmill just for like an hour straight, you know, and all this kind of stuff, drinking so much water. And what happens today in 2023 is that those screens are seen as a dilute, and a dilute is seen as a use in a probation department. A doctor's office is probably different, you know. But that was interesting to me, that whole scene, because I was like, there's something they're not telling here about all this. This isn't about one cigarette, you know. So anyway, but that whole scene I loved. It was so endearing to see all of them, you know. And Chris, like, so Chris goes and does this. Tammy's lost more weight. Thank God, you know. Congratulations to you, Amy, or Tammy. Like, that's amazing. And, I mean, I've seen pictures of her today, and she looks unbelievable, you know. I'm so proud of her. She don't need to hear that from me, but she's so inspiring to me, because I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know, as I'm trying to eat healthier and stuff, I'm like, if Tammy and all these people can do it, I can do it. She really is motivating and inspiring. I don't even think she realizes on the level that she is, you know? And so, I mean, it's not just for people that are her size, it's for anybody out there. And not just accomplishing the goal of losing weight, but accomplishing any goal that you set your mind to, you know? Do the work and you'll achieve success. And so, you know, I'm like watching this show, so she loses weight, and Chris is plateaued. Even though he's like trying to eat healthy, he's doing all this kind of stuff, whatever, and he's like real frustrated with himself, which means there's probably stuff going on in the background that we don't know. Like he's probably eating unhealthy food at home, and they're not showing that. They don't show a lot of Chris unless he's interacting with everybody else, you know? So, I mean, other than Amy and Tammy, Amanda has really... Do I say Amanda weird? Somebody said that in my video the other day. Said, you say Amanda weird. I've been surrounded by Amandas all my life, so I don't know how I say it. But anyway, maybe I do. But she refers to herself as Aunt Amanda in the video. But anyway, Amanda's kind of like the co-star of the show now. And I'm totally fine with that because I love Amanda. She is great TV. Amanda is great TV. Amanda would make a fantastic Real Housewife, okay? Now, I know she don't got the money and all that kind of stuff, but she would make a fantastic... But either does Monica on Salt Lake City, and I love Monica, okay? But Amanda would make a great housewife. Those women could not handle Amanda, okay? And listen... I said a bunch of stuff about Amy and her hey dudes, and people were like, don't be coming for the hey dudes. It's a joke on my drama channel. I cannot stand hey dudes. I think they're ugly. I will never wear a pair in my entire life. I don't care. We all like what we like. I think them hey dudes are ugly, okay? Amanda, you are a beautiful woman. Get rid of them hey dudes. I don't care how comfortable they are, okay? You're looking for a man. Ain't no man gonna want a woman in a hey dudes. I'm just telling you right now, girl, okay? Call me up, Amanda. We'll go shopping. I'll buy you a pair of shoes. Amy sent me a picture of her new Nikes. She ain't wearing hey dudes no more, neither do you, okay? I'm going to get Amanda a man, and I'm going to get her a pair of new shoes is what I'm going to get her. So anyway, I love Amanda. Amanda's my kind of people, okay? Especially when she and Amy go to the bank, and they're going in there to, like, withdraw Amy's money. Which, this is what I loved about it, right? Like, I think anybody in that situation would be like, oh no, bleed him dry, take it all. Amanda's like, we're going to leave $1,000 in there for him. And I was like, see, she thinks it through, you know? And I'm like, I love Amanda for that. Like, I think she thinks everything through. She gets heated at times. She doesn't really have a problem taking responsibility for herself. She also doesn't have a problem saying, hey, listen, this is who I am. You know, take me or leave me. You know? And she also has her endearing moments. I don't know. To me... Amanda has become a new star on the show. I love Amanda. And so she and Amy go to the bank, and she's like, do we need masks? Talking about how they're, you know, gonna like, they're joking about like robbing this bank, right? And Amy's like, I don't know. this is such a Peter Mon moment. Okay, when people say, I am the slowest person to get a joke. I mean, Amy and I are literally on the same wavelength when it comes to jokes, okay? And Amanda's like, do we need masks? And she means like jokingly to like rob the bank, like ski masks, right? And Amy's like, I don't know. She's talking about like, you know, face masks. And Amanda's like, Amy, that's not what I'm talking about. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so me. Like, Amy and I do not get humor, okay? Like, when people tell me, like, say that kind of stuff to me, I'm like the last person to get a joke. No, truly. True story. Like, we can be sitting somewhere and somebody will tell a joke and everybody will laugh, and like 4 minutes later, I'm like, oh. Like, I get it, right? But that whole scene was very cute to me, and I think it was a smart move. I think more will come out about that and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, somebody was saying to me, because I talked about the custody battle in the last episode, and somebody said in the comment section that the reason they took her to custody, or took her to have a custody battle for the kids, was not because he wanted the kids, was because he didn't want to pay child support, which I thought was a very, very interesting take on that. And I don't know if that's true or not. I can kind of hear a text message from Amy Slaton as I'm saying that. I have a feeling she's gonna fill me in on that. But anyway, and I can't say everything, obviously, that she tells me, because some of it is stuff that comes up in further episodes. And I'm not going to ruin that for anybody, or for Amy or TLC. I wouldn't do that. She hasn't told me, I mean, she's just very vague about stuff when she tells me. So anyway, I mean, true story, if you want to know, most of our text messages are jokes, okay? And funny stuff about pickles and all kinds of stuff about that. I mean, it just really is. So anyway, which is so funny because I covered her years ago on YouTube, you know, and I don't know. I kind of thought I would meet her way back then because we talked, you know, back then. And I have to say, Amy is one of the most forgiving people I've ever met in my entire life. And we talked years ago, you know, and about me making videos about her. She was always so kind and so nice about it, you know, that you don't... She's not fake. Like, what you see on video is real. And this episode just really, it just was so hard for me to watch. I felt so bad for Amy. I mean, she is really going through it. Like, she is really going through it. And Michael is, my tripod just slid down all of a sudden. This happens all the time in videos. Anyway, like, you know, Michael just cannot step up to the plate whatsoever. You know, we use this term in talking about, like, child support and things like that when we talk about deadbeat dads, right? That's specifically somebody that doesn't pay child support when they're supposed to. But he's kind of a deadbeat dad, like, when I'm watching him, and it's like, even when Amy is in the room, like he said, he got real frustrated, he said, and I kind of felt bad for him when I talked about it the last time. I was like, well, maybe he doesn't know, and he doesn't know how to ask for help or whatever. But he said, I can't do it when you're not here, meaning taking care of the kids. That's when Amanda got in his face. And she goes, you're a dad. Like, you need to step up to the plate, right? Amanda's like the girl that says everything that we're all thinking, right? Now, I've done gotten shit for that for 7 years on being on YouTube, okay? Amanda, I need a co-star on my drama channel. Why don't you come on over, okay? Come on over, baby. Me and Amanda starting a podcast. That's 2024. Me and Amanda starting a podcast. Can you even imagine? Saying the shit nobody else will say about the world. I have a feeling probably Amanda and I don't share some similar beliefs about things. But you know what? We could talk about pop culture all day long. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, what was I going to say about Michael? Oh, so, you know, like, I'm sitting there and I'm like thinking back to past episodes because I literally just binge watched these shows in the last few weeks, right? And it's like every time that Amy is in the room with the kids, she's either got to ask Michael to help her with him, call him into the room because he's playing video games. Amanda or Misty or Tammy have to ask him to help Amy, you know? Even when she's there, even when multiple people are there, like at the barbecue again, like he's not doing anything. So it's not the fact that he doesn't know how to handle the situation when Amy's not there. It's that he doesn't do anything when 1,000 people are there. He doesn't want to be a dad. And in all honesty, I kind of am like, well, did you just have these kids with Amy just to keep Amy because you knew that was her dream? Or did you not think this through? Or do you not care? I mean, we're talking about two human beings, okay, that could end up being President of the United States or heart surgeons or, you know, greeters at Walmart or artists. We don't know what they're going to be, right? But, like, you know, the part that really got me was when Amy said that she had stayed with Michael because they did not grow up with a dad. You know, I think that we recreate childhood trauma into our adult lives so much because of what we lived in and our lived experiences in our childhood. And one of the things I love about this show and why I think their mom being on the show is so important, and Tammy confronting her mother and things like that. Tammy's really the only one that's ever confronted her mother in the show. And I was like, okay, this is, I'm living for this, of Tammy Slaton standing up for herself against her mother, okay? Right or wrong, whatever issues her mother has, that was so important for Tammy to do, to stop that cycle for continuing in the future. And I know that this is getting very serious, but it was really, the show is serious. It's life, you know? There's a lot of funny moments, but there's a lot of serious moments too, you know? I think Amy's fear is not being a good mother like she didn't have a good mother, and not having a father in their life because she didn't have a father in her life, right? Whereas Tammy's attitude is different. Tammy's attitude is like, we are not going to recreate this. Where Amy's fear is that she already has. Well, that's a lot of fear to grow up with, you know? Like, I just did a Peterisms video on Peterisms channel talking about growing up with an alcoholic mother, and then why did I end up picking up and basically recreating what I grew up in, you know? And I think that so many of us as adults, A, are so terrified of carrying our childhood experiences or trauma into our adult lives and recreating them, or B, we do it, you know? So I think it's so important that they're talking about it in this show. I just love this show so much. I can't wait to see what happens this next week, and I'm in it to win it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.